Hello and welcome back to the Mount Visit Podcast. I'm your host, Sean Gamble, with my co host, Drew Hedke. We've got a great episode coming up today. We're going to be discussing the NCAA football playoffs and some major free agency signings across the MLB. So let's start off with college football playoffs. They just had their selection show on Sunday. Some teams are in that I personally believe shouldn't be in, and then there's some teams that were left out that probably shouldn't have been left out. So let's dive deep into that. First off, me personally, I don't like the group of five getting this special treatment. Like, yeah, you guys won your conference championship, but like, come on, like you stand no chance against these bigger Power Four conference schools. Like, yeah, cool, you snuck by UNT with the help of the refs. You're the Oregon Ducks are a 20-point favorite on you. You don't stand a chance. It's like it's not even going to be good football to watch. I thought this was the best 12 teams. That's what it's always been. It's been the best quote unquote four teams, the best 12 teams. Like last year was a lot better. We didn't care about the group of five schools. The only thing I didn't like about last year's format was the fact that the conference champions got the first round bye. It's like I think that was bullcrap. It's like first round bye should be for the top four seeds, not the conference champs. Because you could have a 12 seed conference champ that gets a first round bye, but the one seed, like let's say Notre Dame's the one seed, they
Funny
automatically
you
get it.
picked Notre Dame
Well,
here in the
well
example.
that's going to come into it a little bit later, but like it happened last year, Notre Dame was I think the fifth seed going into the playoffs. They obviously weren't the conference champ because they obviously don't play in a conference. They got bumped back to seven rather than being at five for the playoffs, which at the end of the day it didn't matter. They still got their first round home game. They didn't they still went all the way to the championship. Obviously they lost sadly, but like it didn't matter.
Side note there, I'll never forget that crock pot of soup or whatever you made that sat out
Oh
on
God.
the apartment
Yeah,
balcony
that
for
was that
two
was not
months,
great.
3 months. It was disgusting to clean that out.
That yeah, that was well, it was what? It was basically just a brick at that point. Like it
It
had
actually dehydrated.
shrunk.
Yeah,
It did dehydrate from sitting
yeah.
out in the cold Minnesota early spring. It just dehydrated and just shrunk up into like a little cube. It was like a dehydrated block of spam. That
Yeah,
was
it was
interesting.
not very fun
No,
to
I
deal
don't.
with.
Hey, it was good when we made it though.
Oh yeah, it tasted phenomenal,
Although I
but
think the reason why I didn't touch the rest of that pot was because I got sick for like a week and a half
that is
after eating that pot, which there's no guarantee that was the reason because you had
I
some
had
and
some and
you
I was
didn't get
fine.
sick. But I think it was probably from something else. I probably just got like a virus or something. But all right, back to
Sorry
it.
for that disgusting
Yeah,
side note there.
yeah, disgusting little side note. But hey, that chili was good. I make some not to pull my own beans. I make some pretty good chili. That Texas style, no beans. But
Yeah, that was might have been the worst smell I've ever smelled. And even growing up on a farm and seeing dead animals and stuff, that was bad.
I've smelled some pretty bad smells. Don't worry about it.
All right,
But
anyway, back to your rant about Notre Dame and college football playoffs.
yeah, so like yeah, you got Tulane and it's what Tulane and JMU. JMU made a little run a couple of years ago. I remember they did pretty well. I think they had one loss, if I remember correctly, coming up to the college football playoffs. But at the same time, at the time, it was only the four-team playoffs, so they had no shot of getting in over like teams like Alabama, Georgia, those big SEC schools. And I don't think a team that's ranked 20th or 23rd should get special treatment just because they won their little Power Five, like group of five conference championship. Like I don't think you should get special treatment for that. But obviously, it's only the second year of this 12-team playoff. They're still trying to figure stuff out. Like what can you do?
I'm looking forward to seeing another stupid college football playoff song like they made last year. I think it was for the playoffs, college football playoffs, or the championship game, where they had a huge bracket on the screen and they had some like sounded like AI generated garbage song. I'm sure we can find a clip somewhere,
Oh yeah,
but
probably. We can find a clip and insert it here.
yeah, we'll insert. But it was
Yeah.
absolutely awful. I remember watching Pat McAfee and that whole crew make fun of it the entire time, and they're just laughing their butts off.
I love the Pat McAfee show. That show's awesome.
Yeah,
It's hilarious.
I remember I had a not too long ago I had a teammate, or not a teammate, a friend from high school that I was trying to convince that it was Tony Hawk, the pro skater, not AJ Hawk, on the actual show, and he's like, "Wait, is it? Is it really?" But it didn't really work because he watches too much football. But
Mm-hmm.
still a funny little bit for about 10 minutes in the middle of a Fortnite game. Had him
It's a little
tweaking.
rage bait action.
Absolutely.
It's the best thing to do. Yeah, but so back to the it's the 12 best teams, you know, and I saw this stat. You know, you've had the 4-team playoff in college football for about roughly 10 years now. The Before that it was the 2-team BCS like playoff bowls and the national championship. It was the best two teams based on like these stats that like a computer generated. That was the best two teams played in that national championship. The rest played in the BCS bowls. Um, the committee always says it's supposed to be the 12 best teams. It's the best teams that are in. It's always the best teams. And it's always, oh, you're not going to get punished for your um, conference championship game. Like we're not going to punish you for this cuz like you deserve to be there. You deserve to be in that conference championship. But hey, if you lose, that's an extra game that some other teams may not have played. We're not going to punish you if you lose. But historically, over the last 10 years, every team that has lost in that conference championship game has been punished. They've been dropped down, maybe a couple. They've been maybe like dropped back a couple spots in the rankings. Sometimes even knocked out of the playoffs for it. Like I remember there was this theory a couple years ago when Alabama and not you Siri. There was this theory that a couple years ago, so Alabama faced Georgia in the SEC conference championship. Uh, I think Georgia had no losses. Alabama had one. They came up with this plan. They're like, no two-loss team has ever made the 4-team playoff format before. Let's have Georgia throw the SEC championship and Alabama win, so that way we can have two SEC schools in the college football playoffs. And that's why, because Georgia already beat Alabama earlier in the year. That was Alabama's one loss. So that's the theory, that it was like Georgia said, hey, we'll let you win just so you can be in the playoffs with us. And we're both one-loss teams. That the committee has to let us in at that point because then we look even. We got that head-to-head. We're even. It's not one head-to-head's better than the other. But this year, Alabama was the first team ever to not get penalized for losing their conference championship. Like you look at Indiana and Ohio State, both undefeated, right? Ohio State's best team in the country, best team in the nation. They go in and they lose a heartbreaker on a missed field goal on the last seconds of the game to Indiana, right? They get punished. They get knocked back to second place. Like they still get their first round bye, but they're not first place. They don't get like say they have to play Indiana the national championship. Indiana gets the home field like quote unquote home field
Yeah,
advantage.
yeah.
It's going to be at a neutral site, but they're the one seed. They get the advantage with quotation marks around it. Um, and then you get BYU. BYU's a one-loss team going into the championship or going into their conference championship. They're playing Texas Tech, the only team they've lost to all year. They get blown out of the water because their quarterback got hurt early in the game. The only drive their quarterback played, they scored a touchdown. Their starting quarterback, that is, and they only scored one touchdown the whole game. So the moment that backup came in, they were done. They had no shot to play Texas Tech. Alabama, on the other hand, they had every single starter. They had their starting quarterback, their starting running back, their starting wide receivers. They didn't have a single backup in that whole game. and they got destroyed. They lost by 21 points to Georgia. 21.
Not gonna lie, that was kind of good to see Alabama get put on their behind a little bit.
Oh, absolutely. But like Alabama was 9-2 going into this game. You lose that SEC championship. You're a 3-loss team. You've lost 3 out of what, the 12 games you've played. You've lost
Mm.
a quarter of your schedule. You're going to tell me this team that's lost a quarter of the games they've played deserves to be in the national championship over a team that's maybe only lost 1 game or 2 games?
By what, 3, 4 points the whole year,
It was
like
4 points
Yeah.
total against 2 teams that are both in the top 10. And like I'm not mad at the committee for putting Miami in. I think Miami should be in. They're a good team, 2 losses, like they're good, right? I'm just mad about how they went about it and the fact that Alabama's in over Notre Dame. Notre Dame, yes, first season, very first, this first season starting for CJ Carr, first season even playing for CJ Carr as a redshirt freshman. The first game of the season goes to Miami, to Hard Rock Stadium to play the University of Miami, who has Carson Beck, who's what, like a sixth-year quarterback, fifth or sixth-year quarterback. He's got
Yeah.
that college experience already.
Grandpa.
He's played in these big-time games against these big-time schools. So like you get a like a rookie defense that's full of redshirt freshmen, sophomores, and then you get this redshirt freshman quarterback against a team full of returners and like a fifth-year quarterback. What do you expect is going to happen? Like we lost by a field goal on the road first week of the season with a freshman quarterback. That's pretty impressive in my opinion.
Oh, for sure. I
How we
mean,
kept it that close and how we scored that much. And second week they go to, well, Texas A&M comes up to Notre Dame. We lose a heartbreaker by 1 by a missed field goal. And obviously we didn't freaking have our kicker. Like you can't control that.
right.
You can't control not having a kicker, which we didn't score a field goal from, I think it was either the first week of October or the last week of September. The rest of the year didn't attempt a single field goal because we just scored touchdowns. We didn't need field goals. For me, that speaks
That looks like a dominant team that
exactly. That speaks
should be in the
volumes right
playoffs
there.
now.
That speaks volumes. Like you got, and it's like they're not playing crappy competitions. They played USC, top 25 team. They played Navy at the time, a top 25 team, and still arguably a really good team. They played Pitt, a top 25 team, dominated all of them, right? And like I'm not even gonna go into that last drive, fourth down against A&M. A&M's fourth and goal. You have multiple missed holding calls on that play. Like the A&M's O line, the O lineman literally tackled one of Notre Dame's D linemen as he had an open field sack in his sights. Just completely tackled him, allowing A&M's quarterback to scramble a little more and get the throw off for the touchdown.
And
Like
I don't watch a lot of football, but that does not seem legal.
no, but like you can't obviously control that anymore. Notre Dame obviously flushed it after that long break, having that bye week the next week. Everybody saying, "Oh, they suck, blah blah blah." They came out, they took care of business the rest of the year, dominated. Look at the Syracuse game. 21 points in the first 5 minutes. Offense didn't even touch the field. They turned the defense around. They brought these young guys that are like, hey, you got to figure it out. And they did. Their defensive coordinator figured it out. The younger guys stepped up. They grew a pair and they dominated. They scored 70 points that game. And CJ Carr didn't take a step on the field pretty much the entire second half. Watching the game, it felt like they scored every time they touched the ball. And same with, like, Jeremiah Love arguably should be the Heisman winner. He had 8 touches that game for 177 yards and 3 touchdowns.
He's draft eligible, right? I think we were talking
Yeah,
about.
he is. He is
We were
draft
wondering if he
eligible.
was going to go in
I
the
would
draft.
love, selfishly, I would love him to stay another year at Notre Dame, but I don't think that's going to happen just because of the season he's had the past 2 years. And the fact that he is draft eligible because
Right.
he was a junior this year. So sadly don't think he'll be returning to Notre Dame. But that, that's another thing that sucks about, like, you finish your season strong, you get a win at Stanford, which he got a filthy, dirty knee to the ribs, taking him out for a whole quarter basically at Stanford. He came in later in the game, he had some touches, he was fine, but it was just like basically a waste of a last game for the Fighting Irish, for Notre Dame, for Jeremiah Love specifically. He had a touchdown that game, which is good, and he did break the single season touchdown record for the Irish. Um, but like, you're ninth in the rankings pretty much all of November. Like, the committee's telling you you're better than Miami, you're better than Miami, you're better than Miami. Miami's like not even close to you. They're up in the high teens. You're in ninth, sitting pretty in ninth, right behind Oklahoma. You go into that last week, you win. Alabama almost loses to a, what, 5-7 I believe, or 4-7 Auburn team. Not a good Auburn team at all. They don't have their coach. They don't have a good quarterback. They almost lose to that Auburn team. They jump Notre Dame. How does that happen? No idea.
Yeah.
No, like, can you make it make sense?
Not at all, really.
Yeah.
Like I said before, I don't watch a lot of football, but you lose to a team that is sub 500 by what, 3 games you were saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you should not be going up. You should be going down, if not completely out of the ranking, in my opinion.
Exactly. And they obviously didn't lose, but like, they won, but it was by a score. It wasn't like what they should have done. They should have blown them out of the water. Like, yeah, you're in Auburn, playing Auburn, but still, you're a double-digit favorite. You should win. Like, and Alabama's looked awful the last month. Last, like, 5 weeks of football, they've looked terrible. And I think the committee did that just to get Notre Dame and Miami closer,
Mm.
because I think the committee was hoping that Alabama would win the SEC championship. So they'd be like, oh, they won it. They automatically are in. And then that kind of puts Notre Dame in, like, they were hoping Alabama won and BYU lost, so knock BYU out. And then boom, Notre Dame, and or even like, I think they were hoping BYU would win, so they would jump Notre Dame, and then boom, you got Notre Dame and Miami. Now you have to look at head to head,
Right.
but head to head only really matters when it comes down to strength of schedule, and if they have a similar strength of schedule and a similar resume. Which, you look at the games they've played, I don't think they have a similar resume at all. Notre Dame has basically played an ACC schedule. Like, people say they need to join a conference because they don't play anybody. They play almost all ACC schools. Like, how are they not playing anybody? You know, like, just because, like, the ACC is bad doesn't mean that they don't play a good schedule and that
Right.
they should join a conference. Because if they do, it would have been, up until this year, the ACC, which they did back in 2020, and they were in the ACC championship, which they had beat Clemson earlier that year. They still had Brian Kelly at this point, which I hate. Brian Kelly, he sucks. He's not a good not a good coach. Just sucks.
Is he coach anywhere now?
No, he was at LSU and got fired
Okay.
for
I do
not
remember
winning,
LSU,
and he said he wanted to go to LSU to win a national championship, and then was barely 500 every year.
Mm.
So
So I guess that takes us to the next part. What do you think of the news that Notre Dame's not even going to play in a bowl game? Do you think that's a smart decision, or is that a bad
um,
look for the program, or how do you think those seniors feel that maybe that's their last time touching a field?
you know, like, it does suck for the seniors, but at the same time, it wasn't the coach's decision. It was the players and the captains. Marcus Freeman and the athletic director, they went to the players. They're like, hey, this just happened. Like, you guys got screwed out of what you should have, the college football playoffs you so servingly belong in.
Hmm.
You got screwed out of it. Do you guys even want to play the bowl game? And the captains and this, like, all the captains and all the players all agreed no. Like, Marcus Freeman stated in an interview, he said the captains unanimously agreed to not play in that bowl game. The AD backed it up. They pulled out. and people are giving them crap for it. They're like, "Oh, what a bunch of babies taking their ball and going home." It's like, no, like for the past 5 weeks they've been told that they were in the college football playoffs. They were told by ESPN, by the committee, that they had a chance to make another run like they did last year and go win it this year, because they had a special team this year. This team was good. This was better than last year's team. Maybe it wasn't as old. It's a lot younger of a team, a lot more raw, but God, they have talent. It's some talent. But like, and when you look at it in other perspectives, it's like ESPN has so much money in all the bowl games. They broadcast all of them, so they get all the TV rights, all the advertisement money, and you get all these bowl sponsors. Obviously, like Pop Tart sponsors the Pop Tart Bowl,
Right.
you know, and Notre Dame, I think, is also like ESPN. You don't like you do such a horrible job already of broadcasting all our games. You told us all these lies, because now they are lies. Like they may have not been lies at the time, but now you're like, oh yeah, you have a 98% chance of making the playoffs, but now you're not in the playoffs. Like what the heck is that, right?
Right. Right.
And I think Notre Dame's basically like, go screw yourself. You don't get the revenue from our brand. And people are only focusing on Notre Dame when you have other schools like Kansas State, uh, I, Iowa State, um, who else? Florida State, and I think BYU just pulled out two of their bowl games. Auburn did as well. Auburn pulled out of their bowl game, but they're only focusing on Notre Dame because who's got the biggest brand? The Fighting Irish.
Notre Dame. Right.
Notre Dame Fighting Irish have the biggest brand in college football, and I think another reason why people want them to join a conference so much is that they're jealous that Notre Dame doesn't need to be in a conference
Mm,
to have the brand they have, to get the revenue they get, to have the fan base, to have the support staff, the players, and be able to recruit how they can and get these transfers. Like they're jealous of that, so they're like, oh, you have to join a conference. Put limits on them almost in a way.
interesting.
Hmm.
So, what do you think? The league or ESPN? Do you think they'll get punished in the upcoming year, or just kind
Well,
of blow it under the rug?
I think they got fined already for pulling out. I don't know, but I'd have to look into that. I know they signed a clause last year in March after the championship that this starts next season. That if they're in the top 12 at the end of the season, they are, even if it's the 12th seed, they get an automatic bid to the college football playoffs, no matter what happens in the selection committee. If they are top 12 at the end of the season, they're automatically in. So I like that a lot. I think because if like you're given a team like Tulane, let's
1 second for some live research here from
mhm.
Mr. Sean Gamble. It just makes it, in my
Like,
mind, it makes it interesting. Like if they signed that
yeah,
or came up with that agreement.
you got an 11-2 Tulane who plays really nobody, like UAB, Charlotte, Tulsa. Like what? These are Temple, Memphis, UTSA. Like Tulane got blown out 48-26 by UTSA. They already played Ole Miss. They got blown out 45-10. Ole Miss is in the college football playoffs. Like you're telling me that's going to be a good matchup? No,
Right.
no shot. Right? Like Notre Dame is much more deserving to be in than a team like Tulane
Right.
or even a team like Alabama. BYU's more deserving to be in than a team like Alabama. Vanderbilt's more deserving. If if you want to make the argument of letting a 9-3 team in, where's Texas in the argument? Texas is 9-3. They made a good argument towards the end of the year. They were on a hot streak. Alabama, they were not on a hot streak. They were just getting destroyed. But
It just makes a guy wonder who doesn't watch a lot of football. Like if you
makes yeah.
sign that agreement about letting them play if they're in the top 12, does that prove or show that the selection committee isn't right?
I
where
think
the
so.
people
I
are
think so.
idiots.
I absolutely agree. And it's like with how it happened this year, I think the selection committee is signing their own death certificate at this point. Like I think the selection committee will probably disappear. And if the weekly rankings don't matter like you've said they've mattered, like all these years, like every week you come out and you're like, okay, these are the weekly rankings. This is where everybody stands. This is what the playoffs would look like if it started today. Like if you're doing that all season, why at the end of the season does it all of a sudden not matter what your rank is and not matter what you've been ranked all year? Like I think you should just let the teams play and then you come together at the end of the year and then you make the top 12 teams. That's like that would be a lot better than how they did it. You'd have a
Right.
lot less controversy.
Shall we switch
All right.
gears and talk about our dominant sport here, our favorite sport?
You know, I think so because if not, I'm going to be talking about this for another 20 minutes probably.
Yeah. Well, I know I get an earful from you almost every day about Notre Dame or the Patriots,
And
but
you probably stay. Those
yeah.
Drake May edits.
Oh yeah,
It's almost
Drake
Sunday.
Drake May.
Drake May May. It's almost Sunday.
Yeah, almost
I
Sunday.
hope
There's
Ann Michael May makes some good stuff for Bakemas.
fake miss.
It's her little series she's doing on TikTok. It's where she's like making a different like holiday dish every day, all leading up to Christmas.
Is that what I hear you watching in your room before school every day? Is Drake May's wife cooking?
Probably.
That's fair. That's
hmm
fair. On the side of MLB, it's currently off season, obviously here in December, but we got some big free agent signings. A few days ago, Dodgers, the repeat champions of the World Series, signed Edwin Diaz, a former Met closer, to a 3-year deal. Which I don't know why Diaz wouldn't want to stay with the Mets. I mean, I get it. The Mets had their shot at the beginning of the year, and they just decided to fall off into oblivion instead of continue playing good baseball. But it's outrageous.
I feel like that's a Mets thing to do.
Yeah, as a Mets fan, I can tell you that is for sure, for sure the Mets plan apparently.
Feels like the Red Sox do that sometimes too, where
They
they're
just,
just like, oh, we're giving up.
yeah.
But you
So
should
then,
never give up. It's baseball. It's a
right,
weird sport.
never back down, never what?
Never give up.
Exactly, Nick A30. So it seems like the Dodgers are trying to buy a third World Series in a row.
Might as
Possibly,
well.
we'll see. But on the Dodgers side, that is definitely what they're missing after watching the World Series.
hmm
Their bullpen is awful.
Oh yeah, they got the bats to back it up though.
Right, exactly. But bats can only win so many games. I always think defense wins championships.
hmm
I don't know your thoughts on that. Obviously, we're a little biased being both pitchers, but don't let the other team
Yeah.
score, and hopefully your offense can scratch a run or two across.
Yeah. But you know firsthand, like if your offense can't score, doesn't matter if you keep them to 1 run or 2 runs, you're gonna lose. Like look at Paul Skeens, the Pittsburgh offense is horrible, and Paul Skeens is a Cy Young winner.
Hmm.
And how many games did he win this year? Like he did not have a great record
No,
on the bump, but he's a Cy Young pitcher
right.
just because his offense can't score.
On the
So
same,
it goes both ways.
right. That whole Paul Skeens thing, it's the Jacob deGrom syndrome with the Mets
Exactly.
back in
hmm
2016 through 2019ish.
Only difference is Paul Skeens hasn't gotten hurt yet. Jacob deGrom, I swear, is built like a.
Better knock on some wood.
Yeah, right.
Paul Skeens had a little bit more mass on him than Jacob deGrom.
Just a couple more pounds
Just yeah, a
of
little bit more
muscle.
muscular than deGrom.
Paul Skeens also has Livy Dunn at his side, so
That might motivate you too.
it would motivate me.
Kind of sticking with the Mets theme here for a second. Pete Alonso today signed a deal with the Orioles for a 5-year, $155 million contract. That's insane.
Breaks my heart. You know, it was between I saw it was between the Red Sox and the Orioles, and it just sucks that he had to go to the Orioles and be on the other side, like be in the division,
Right.
be on a different other team. And the Red Sox have been looking for a first baseman. Like we had Lowe towards the end of the year. Obviously, we let him go. He did okay for his stint, but we need that first baseman that's going to be there, have the big bat and ride it out a little longer. Obviously, he signed a 5-year deal. He was looking for a little bit of money. I know the group that owns the Red Sox has been known to be very cheap. That's why we lost guys like Mookie Betts, uh, pitcher for the Braves,
Oh,
Chris Sale.
Chris Sale.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah,
We've lost like these big names. Um, I think Rafael Devers was a different case. I think he was just pissed off that they didn't want him playing third anymore, considering he was the worst defensive third baseman in the league. Like, yeah, he had a great bat, but he was just so in his head about like, oh, these guys, they're taking the glove out of my hands and forcing me to swing. But it's like, dude, you have one of the best bats in the MLB.
yeah.
If a team's asking you to just hit, wouldn't you want to just hit? Like, look at Shohei Ohtani. Dude had Tommy John surgery and he was still out there hitting bombs every week, almost every day. It's like, wouldn't you want to do something to stay on the field?
You're still playing the highest level of baseball possible. Why would
Exactly.
you not want to play and not sit on the bench and mope all the time? But
Exactly. Like, it just doesn't make any sense to me. No.
same with your Red Sox.
Mhm.
Sonny Gray went from the Cardinals over to the Red Sox.
Yes, he did.
Was that good for the
Um,
Red Sox or?
he's a little bit of an older pitcher, but he's got that experience that he can bring to the bullpen and to our starting rotation. Um, he's historically been a good arm, but hopefully hopefully he finds his way in Boston and can do something good
Right. Do you
for
think
us.
he'll be a starter or out of the pen?
I don't know yet. I mean, obviously we got Crochet still. Had some injuries later in the season. Brought some young arms up. They had some good stuff, some bad stuff. Easy was good. Um, Obviously struggled in the playoffs. That was his first ever playoff appearance. You can't really get mad at him about that. I know they also picked up the pitcher from Pittsburgh, Johan Oviedo. Oviedo.
Obito, yeah.
Yep,
Or
Oviedo.
Yeah, however you say that.
I don't know much about him,
Yeah,
but hopefully he's a decent acquisition. And I know they've been prioritizing re-signing Bregman hard, which is like, dude, just cough up the money. Bregman was such a good ad. He plays awesome baseball at Fenway. His swing fits Fenway. Like, that's not something we need to let slip through our grasp as an organization. That is such a good dugout guy, a good clubhouse guy, great guy on the field, great guy in the community. Like, that's something we need to keep in Boston.
and the last kind of major player update is that the Mets and Yankees are currently still big pursuers of Kyle Tucker from the Cubs right now. Not sure exactly what the deal is there. Great bat, obviously, with Kyle Tucker and him from the Astros back during their alleged cheating days.
Mm-hmm.
But could be interesting for either one of those.
Mm-hmm.
Mets could use another outfielder. They got what, Soto and Wright. They got rid of Nimmo, so they could use another outfielder and a decent bat as well.
Yeah, but hey, it's baseball. You could know the exact pitch that's coming every single time, and you could still go 0 for 4 every day.
Right. Yeah.
Like, that's the sport. You still have to try to hit a 100-mile-an-hour ball coming in at you from 60 feet away. It's the
Right.
hardest thing to do in every sport.
And moving all over the place.
Exactly.
The Yankees as well still pursuing them. They have what, Judge? I don't know. I don't watch much Yankees baseball.
I try not to. I don't.
Yeah. But
Not the biggest Yankees fan.
could DH, could roam the outfield. I don't think he would care
No.
about where he'd play as long as he's playing baseball still. And I guess the Cubs could re-sign him too. I know we got some friends that would love to see him stay in the Windy City, but
Mm-hmm.
who knows if the Cubs will be willing to spend that type of money.
And did you see the Phillies got to keep Schwarber?
Oh yes, I can't believe
What was
I
that, a
missed that.
5-year deal?
Yeah, I believe 5-year deal. He fits perfectly in that city.
Oh yeah, he was with the Red Sox for the 2022 season. He did so good that year.
Yeah, he was the Red
Yeah,
Sox, right?
he Schwarber Phillies get Schwarber back for 150 million dollars on a 5-year deal.
There we go.
That's great for him. He's a really good player, a really good guy.
I remember watching him on the Red Sox when he was playing first base and he had a PFP
hmm
and he just airmailed the
hmm
crap out of the ball. That was so funny to watch.
Hey, that's why you got to practice those.
Yeah, we work on those, I've
We
heard,
work. That's what
around
I.
these
That's what
parts.
I've heard. I've also heard coffee does not feel great on your face in the morning.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
Wasn't that Eminem that said that? Oh, that's an awfully hot coffee pot.
hmm
I mean, take out the pot, I guess, but I think it still fits. The
I
next
think I
seg,
think the M&M we're talking about had a little less hair or a
probably
lot
more
less
hair.
balls.
Wow, yeah, I guess whichever way you want to look at it, yeah. Next segment on the mound. It's gonna be a recurring segment with a broader, more philosophical, more deep meaning.
hmm
And each time we'll have one question that we both kind of give our input on and just see where it kind of leads. So today is, how do you handle playing in front of a big crowd? I know you play out in Vermont in the Futures League
Correct.
in front of 3, 4, 5,000 fans depending on the day.
The most I got to pitch in front of was this summer. It was Star Wars night. Oh my goodness. It was yep, and not that jersey, but that I didn't get to pitch in that jersey sadly. That's
Mm-hmm.
been my favorite one. But the one we had this summer had stormtroopers around our waist with the Death
Oh,
Star on our chest. Really cool jersey. I loved it. I think the crowd that night was sold out, 4,400 fans with standing room, so a little bit extra in there, probably closer to 46, 4,700. Not to meme or clip farm, but um, it was a very close game, ninth inning. It wasn't a save situation yet, so we put our second closer in. We put Xander Teeter in. Great pitcher, great two-way guy. He did really good last year. Not as well this year defensively and hitting wise, but pretty good on the mound. We put him in. Uh, he got a nice out. I think he got 2 outs pretty quickly, and then he started struggling a little bit. We had a 4-run lead at the time. Started struggling. We're like, we're not really worried. I'm still ready in the pen. I know like, hey, if we get into a situation right here where we need me, I'll go in. And I knew that going into that ninth inning. And I knew the only reason I wasn't going in the ninth inning was the fact that we had a 4-run lead and it wasn't a save situation yet. Um, a couple guys get on, a couple guys score. I think we had 2 outs. It was 2 outs, bases loaded. It ended up being a 1-run ball game. I get called in from the pen because Teeter, he was up to around 30, 35 pitches at this point. He had been out there for a while. It's been a long inning. The crowd, the crowd was ready for that last out for probably 4 batters at this point. So I'm out there. I get a 2-2 count. I throw another breaker. No, I think I threw no. I got a 2-2 count. Throw a fastball up. Try to get him a chase. He doesn't bite. Uh, I believe no. I didn't shake off my coach here. He went back to the slider or no. It was curveball. He went to the curveball. He just knew it was working that night. It worked and it looked good in the pen. I had already thrown at that at bat. It had dropped in for a strike. This is a lefty. Um, I I couldn't hear the pitch com. We had the little pitch comms up in the hat. If you watch the video back, I had my glove covering my ear to try to help hear the pitch com. And my catcher told me when he came out when I went out there from the pen, he said, "Hey, I can't hear the pitch, so I'm gonna throw a sign down and just give me a nod or a shake if it's right or wrong, and then I'll know. But I'm gonna try to be quick and discreet about it so we don't get our signs picked up." But he thankfully got it right on that one call. I didn't have to shake him off, like quote unquote shake him off. I didn't have to let him know that it wasn't it. But all 4,400 fans are still there because it's fireworks night too. So they're all staying the whole time. They're all still there. Everybody's on their feet. It's so loud. Throw that breaking ball. Boom, strike three called. You're out. My heart rate was probably close to 200. in that moment, my adrenaline was through the roof. But hey, it throwing in those situations in front of crowds like that, I love it. It gives me more confidence as a pitcher knowing that I have that many fans behind me on my side. Like I wouldn't want to pitch in a hostile environment like that. That'd be nerve wracking. But I've never had to yet. I mean, I've had to pitch in front of like 2,500 fans in Worcester, and in Worcester they at the Holy Cross the stands are basically on top of you when you're on the mound, and they do not hold back on some of the stuff they say. It is quite crazy out there, but you just gotta put those noise canceling headphones on, the metaphorical ones, and you just got to go to work, breathe, do your job, know what you're there to do. You're there for a reason. You just got to lock in and do your job. That's that's what my coaches have told me growing up. Um, I don't. Some guys I know they have a focal point down the line or anything. Me, I just I look at the rubber. I just take a deep breath. You know, stretch my hammies out a little bit, maybe like twist my hips, and I step on that mound, and it's like, it's you and it's me, and I own this plate, I own this mound, I own this field, and you're gonna get off. And that's my mindset going into situations like that in front of big crowds. I personally love it. I love pitching in front of large crowds. It gives you that adrenaline, it gives you that little bit of extra boost when it comes to your velo, your sharpness, because you wanna perform for your fans and for the people that are there to watch you play.
I guess my only question from that, well, two questions. One is more a funny one, to say that for the end. Uh, Anything mentally, like what are you thinking? Or are you not thinking? I know some guys like to think about, I'm going to execute this pitch. Other guys, maybe they're more juice heads, meat heads, and they just grip the ball and throw it as hard as they can to the catcher.
um, I don't think a ton usually. Um, Usually all I think about is you're not touching this pitch. I'm gonna grip it, I'm gonna rip it, and it's gonna blow right past you. I don't try to overanalyze anything I'm doing on the mound because then I start overthinking and then I just get in my own head and it all goes downhill. I just get up there and I grip it and rip it, like you said. You know, I'm trying to rip that ball so hard smoke comes off of it when it gets out of my hand. But
And I guess a second question from that, when you're saying that the fans at Worcester are almost on top of the field, were they at all saying that they're the best team in Futures League history, or
I
anything?
think I heard that a time or two, and I let him hear it with my performance. I had a rocky outing in Worcester earlier in the season, but it was an extended save. It wasn't like a normal save situation. I had to go there for like 3 innings, but you can't control stuff like that. You can't control outcomes. You can just control what you're doing in that moment in time. I shook it off, went out there. Next time I threw out there, very similar crowd, very similar night. It was like a special night. Crowd was crazy. I First thing I heard when I got out there was like, "Oh, this guy, we love this guy. Remember what happened last time? Blah 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 blah." They definitely were saying like, "Oh, we're better. We own you." I just block it out, ignore it. I don't really. I like to think I don't hear much when I'm out there, which obviously like I hear the noise, but I don't process it.
Right, right.
It's only like the crazy comments that I process sometimes. I'm just like, you really just said that? Like that's okay, interesting to say. But last out of the game was a PFP, little one hopper right back to me, snagged right in my glove, ran over, basically handed it to Sean at first. Turned around, I just stared their dugout down. Just kind of stood there and stared at them. It's like, yeah, you don't phase me.
Right. I was just curious because I was scrolling Instagram Reels one day and I saw like a hype edit, I think it was,
Oh, I
of
think I know
Worcester.
what you're talking about. Yeah, it was the
And
was it the Centennial Bleacher guy?
yeah, yeah, I think so.
Yeah, yeah,
But I don't know if you heard like a lie detector beep or anything like that, a buzz, if you will,
yeah. I
in
remember
your
in
head.
the edit it had one. In my head I may have, but I was like, yeah, no, we own you guys. We've owned you guys for, the entire time I've been playing in the Futures League. So you don't stand a chance right now.
That's good. I guess for my own experience, I'm thinking of a couple. A few years back in high school, we made it to the state championship game. A few weeks before, we played in the section championship game, and I just pitched like crap. I mean,
Mm.
there's not really any way to sugarcoat it. And I mean, it's baseball; that'll happen.
Yeah.
And I know at the time I was pissed off and upset, but coach came out and said, these guys behind you, they're going to do everything they can to get you back on the mound. And sure enough, they did it. We had some freshmen pitch on the day after or 2 days later because the power went out at the field,
Mm-hmm.
and they competed their asses off and got me back to pitching in the state tournament. So that state tournament for Minnesota State High School League is over the course of a week. Play Monday, they play Tuesday, Wednesday, off Thursday, pitch Friday. So Tuesday I go out there, pitch. We get to a point in the game when we're up 8-0 in the second inning, and me and one of the other captains are like, "You should come out of the game." I'm like, "Yeah, I want to pitch again tomorrow." So we go talk to our pitching coach, and he's like, "Okay, I guess I'll talk to the head coach, Gene Schwartz." So I get to 29 pitches. He comes out. I've never heard the crowd cheer so loud for someone to get taken out of the game. It's such a weird time, 2 innings in. But with the high school league rules, if I would have thrown another pitch, I would have had to have taken the next day off if you're at 30 or above.
Mm-hmm.
So I get to skip that rest period, and I can pitch again the following day. Very similar thing happens. I go 4 innings. I get taken out at 51, 59, whatever the pitch before was, in order to still be able to pitch on Friday at Target Field. Again, similar thing. Crowd cheers super loud. I don't know. It's really surreal feeling. We go back Friday. We're driving down to Target Field. This was during the COVID era, where everything was kind of messed up, and I had to sit in the front of the bus, so I wasn't mixing and mingling with anybody else in case they were all sick, which it was so weird. Me and Jake, the other captain, we were sitting there like, what the heck are we doing
Mm-hmm.
sitting up here? But at Target Field, pitching, and I mean, it was unbelievable experience down there at Target Field. I don't know, the first inning, you kind of get the little jitters. I wouldn't even say nervous, but you're excited. You get that feeling in your gut that you're really excited. But at that time, I guess I could say I was a little nervous dealing with all that pressure and the big crowd, only because in the bullpen down there, on the visitor bullpen, I did not throw one strike at all. I mean, I was bouncing pitches at 45 feet. I'm like, what is going on? I'm sure the other team, the Tigers, the pitcher that was warming up was like, okay, we got this. He
Mm-hmm.
can't even throw the ball 60 feet in the general area of a strike zone. But sure enough, go out there first inning. We get the away team somehow as the number one seed, which I really don't understand at all. And we put up 2 runs. Great hitting, great offense, great coaching. I go out there, I strike out the side. At that point, I'm like, okay, I'm locked. And at that point, you started to see the Tigers dugout kind of go, oh shit,
Mm-hmm.
he's locked in. That bullpen meant nothing. And I don't know about you, but I've always heard, a shitty bullpen leads to a good game, that type of thing.
Oh, absolutely.
Do you think that's true?
I think so too because I think when you think too much when you're in the pen and you're succeeding too much in the pen, almost gives you a kind of a sense of false confidence. But if you have that crappy bullpen and you go back out there and you go out onto the actual mound, and I just feel like being able to flush anything you thought about in that bullpen almost gives you a fresh start. So you're not thinking, you're not like, oh, this pitch works really, really well today. If I start it here, it's going to end here, and I can do this and this and this with it. You're just like, okay, throw a strike. You just go back to the basics, just throw a strike, let them try to hit it, let your defense work, get the offense back get the offense back out there and score. Like get the defense off. And I think throwing a crappy bullpen allows you to do that because you're not overthinking. You're just all right, throw a strike.
Right.
Here's the ball, throw it down the middle.
Right. I guess going back to the actual question of how do you handle playing in front of the big crowd, like my mom's told me this almost my whole life that it's just another game. You have so much that so you've worked so hard to get to that point that everything you've done over the past at that point 17 years of your life will translate to that big game, that big moment when you need it. I think it was Axe the other day in the chat. I don't know if you got to see all those notes that he took from that leadership
Hmm.
conference. But there was one. It was something about you don't rise to the occasion, you fall back on your training, and that kind
Yeah,
of goes back to putting in the work every single day. And I know our coaches here at school always say get better, 1% better every day.
the
The
little
little
things
things
matter.
always matter.
They make us better and more
They
consistent.
make us better and
Make
more
us closer
consistent.
as a team.
Exactly. But I mean, my high school coach was telling us that all of high school, all the youth
Hmm.
coaches I had, I mean, none of that's possible without them.
Hmm.
And at that point on the mound, you're just, like you said before, white ball, throw hard to the catcher,
Hmm.
and everything else gets drowned out.
You've
No
been
matter,
doing it your whole life.
right? Yeah,
Why change what you've been doing?
exactly.
Why reinvent the wheel?
Right. And I'm a pretty relaxed guy on certain things. I get more heated on other topics as he's shuffling poker chips and we're sitting on a blackjack table right now. But you know that. But at the moment in the game, you drown everything else out. You hear things going on, but like you said earlier, you don't process any of it. You don't let any of that affect your mentality.
Hmm.
It's just go out there and dominate.
Exactly. It's the best way to put it. All right. Well, we'll start wrapping things up. Final thoughts. Uh, I think college football committee needs to be better. Needs to be more consistent. They need to figure out what they're doing, how they're going to rank stuff, the weekly rankings, what they mean. Figure out if they really want to keep the 12-team playoff or if they want to expand it, reduce it, whatever. Me personally, I say just do it how D2 and D3 does it with the 32-team playoff. You have home field games up until a certain point, usually up until like the Elite Eight or the Final Four. You have home field games all the way up until that point, and then boom, you go play a neutral site team game. Um, I think the Red Sox need to spend some more money, get Bregman back, get a couple big name pitchers, maybe petition for Scooble and not let him fall to the Dodgers. And then, yeah, the with mentality on the mound, you just got to fall back on your training, fall back on what you've been doing your whole life. There's a reason you're there. Why change what you've been doing your whole life? Why change the reason you're in the situation you are just because you're in that situation? Why change your mentality? It's just that's a human on the other side of the plate. Be the best that you've been and be dominant. You know.
Just a few things from my end here. Just going back on being yourself, and we've always been told here at school to give 100% of whatever you got that day.
100% of your 70%,
Right,
if
exactly.
that's how
Yeah.
you feel that day.
Right. Just give everything you got to beat that other person on the other side of you if it's in baseball or dominate the task at hand every
Hmm.
single day. I read a book a while ago from one of my travel ball coaches, and it was called Make Your Bed, and it was just the whole thing from a Navy SEAL admiral in the Navy was about just start your day with an easy win and just keep stacking every single day
Hmm.
for the rest of the day. And when you get back in your bed at the end of the night, you can actually list off all the major things that you accomplished that day and feel so much better as a human being.
Me personally, I do make my bed every day. I think that's kind of impossible for you.
Yeah, sleeping in a recliner that would be a little
Yeah,
interesting.
but I do personally make my bed every day, and I think it's a good start because at the end of the day, you look at your bed and you're like, okay, like I started today off good. I'm gonna end it good. Some good sleep. You don't have to remake your bed before you go to bed. You just pull those covers back, hop underneath, boom, you're good to go.
I'll leave you with this. Remember, most important pitch in baseball is strike one.
Dang
Just
right.
dominate. It goes back to the domination of
Hmm.
every single thing that you do.
Dominate from the start. When it comes to classes, you dominate from that first day with a syllabus. Read your syllabus. That domination will take you all the way through the finals. Practice, you dominate that first day of practice. Dominate that first game. Dominate that first pitch. You can say with video games too. You dominate from the moment you land.
Dominate that space bar when you leave the battle bus, and you
Exactly.
dominate on that victory royale screen.
Hmm.
Well, I'm Drew Hedke with my co-host.
Sean Gamble.
Thank you for listening, and we will catch you next time. Peace.